Well, my name is Lynn. I've got with me Boosie and I've got Yonela. So we are from Hearts for Neurochallenges Home Care. Today I'm going to show you or to teach you or to help you, however way you want to see it, to do proper record keeping. So Yonela, you've got this paper here. It says care plan and record keeping. Let me show you guys. That's what it looks like. And we've also got a medicine sheet. Okay, so these are just two of the papers we've got for to keep help to keep record of. So what we do with these sheets, Boosie, is we would write our names, we would print our names, and we would print our initials, and then we would write down all the medication for the patients, and each and every time, if it's after breakfast or lunchtime or supper time, we would then put down our initials after each and every meds that we've given. So to record that we have actually given it. And we must be very, very careful that we give the correct medication and also the correct dosage. But not just that, also to the correct patient.
Yes.
Okay. And then on the other side, on the care plan, we have got things like full wash, we've got the mouth care, we've got changing of clothing, things like that. So we would then also do the same thing. If we would wash the person, if he showers, we would go to the shower column and we would put our initials there so that we can get a good record of when did the patient shower. Because between the two of you, these two carers, they are working for Mr. and Mrs. R, and they're caring for them during the day, so they would relieve each other every fourth day, and then when the next person comes in, they can just take the sheet and they would see, okay, so Mrs. R was showered 3 days ago, so we need to shower her again, or whatever case it may be. So it makes things easier. Just by one look, you can immediately see when they wash their hair, that they actually brush their teeth every day. So in our kind of jobs, if it's not recorded, it doesn't happen.
Yes.
So yes, so if you don't record it, if you don't put it down, guys, then unfortunately I'm going to be on your case, and it says to me that you didn't do what you were supposed to do for that day, or that you didn't, more important, that you didn't give the medication as you should have. Besides the papers, we've got the record keeping book. So I would like to leave a proper book, thick book with each client, so that you record all the other stuff that is happening. You would write the date there of the day that you come in, and then the time also on the side of the line. So when you come in at 8 o'clock, if your shift starts at 8 o'clock, you would record Yonela on duty.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you would check the patients. You would see, okay, the patients maybe are still sleeping. So you would write in your book that Mr. and Mrs. R is still sleeping, or maybe Mrs. R is taking a shower. So when you came on duty, you saw her showering. So besides first just checking that she's okay and staying maybe there, because maybe she could slip and fall or something, afterwards you will go, you will write in your book. So Mrs. R was in the shower, Mr. R, he was still in bed, fast asleep. Okay. And then that is how you record the things. So then you go about whatever duties you've got, getting Mr. R out of bed, getting Mrs. R dressed and things like that. Yes, you would record it on your sheet, but you would just make a small note, say at about 9 o'clock maybe, Mr. R got out of bed, fully dressed, fresh clothes, whatever the case may be. Do you guys understand that? Is that clear? Do I need to explain more?
Yes,
I understand.
Okay, good. So then, as the time passes, you give the medication, they've had their breakfast. Yes, again, you did write it down, you did record that you gave the medication, but it's also a good thing that you write it in your book, that Mr. R received his medication, and then you write it down, what medication it is. Maybe perhaps it is Carbilev, maybe it's Lexamol, whatever the case may be, and you put there, 1 by Lexamol given, 2 by Carbilev given, so that you know that you've actually written it down. We do this because maybe Mrs. R will come and she will say, but you didn't give my husband's medication. So then you can say, let me check if I did give it at 10 o'clock or whatever time you need to give it. So we can go into the book, we can see, no, see here, I did. I gave it at 10 o'clock. This is what I've given. So we cover ourselves. We need to do that. If we didn't write it down, it didn't happen. So if anybody asks us questions, then we cannot answer if we didn't write it down.
Yeah.
So with some, we've had an incident at one of the clients where we don't stay 24 hours, but we still need to give the medication. The patient sometimes forgets, and maybe they don't take the medication, then we get onto duty the next day, and what happens? They tell us that you didn't give it to them.
Yeah.
So the best way we get around that is that, yes, get the proof, Rosie. Exactly.
If maybe Mrs. Rose said, Yonela, I didn't give you the medicine or something, and then I'm going to go and check the time.
Yes.
This is 10 o'clock, I give you your medicine. Then
Yes. You see, exactly. So she can go back, she can tell Mrs. R that there's the medication. So when you leave at home and you need to give, because mostly the patients are taking maybe sleeping tablets, they're taking other tablets before they go to bed. So now you take the container and you say, here's your medication, but that's not good enough.
Yes.
And you write it down. You write down at 16:45, I have given Mrs. R this medication, and you write the medication down. The medication for Mr. R and the medication for Mrs. R. You will write it down, and you again the dosage as well, if it's only 1 or if it's 2 tablets or whatever. If you leave the morning medication also, because now they maybe eat at 6 o'clock, they get up at 6 o'clock, you guys are not here, and then they want to take the medication. But now you've put the medication away, which is right, because we shouldn't leave the medication lying around. But they would like to take the medication themselves. They don't want to be controlled. We can't do anything about that, because otherwise they might chase us away or whatever, and it's just not a nice situation. So we need to handle everything to the best of our abilities. What we will then do is we will say, fine, here is the morning meds as well for both of you. But again, you will write down, I've also given Mrs. R the medication as follows, and you will put Mr. R and also Mrs. R, and you put the medication which you've given, and you will tell them, you will say, I have told Mrs. R, this is your medication for tomorrow morning. So that otherwise it might happen that when you get here by 8 o'clock in the morning, they might say, you didn't give my medication. So that's the reason why we do it properly, and we make sure that we write everything down. So what we can also do is then you sign there, and you take the book and you say, see Mrs. Rowe, or you I've written it down here. Please sign that you have received the medication.
Okay.
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 So that in case the patient forgets, then you can take out the book. Then there is no fights or anything.
Yes.
Is that clear? Do you
Yes.
understand, Brucey?
Yes.
Make it does it make sense,
It
Jonela?
does.
Okay, awesome. Yes, so that is the short and the long. Any incident we need to record. The other reason why we record also is in case of emergency, that the ambulance has to be called and they get here, they will ask you guys, what did the patient have to eat or drink, and when last did he take something in? So you can immediately take your book and you can say, by 9:30 he did have a glass of coffee or a glass of milk or whatever the case may be, he did eat something. That is important for them to know, so that they can know how to act, what to give them, what not to give them when they get to hospital. Also in a situation like that, we usually freak out. We shouldn't, but we're only human, and we freak out. Sometimes you can't think straight, and that's why it's nice. We've got the record book, so we can go back to that, and we don't need to remember anything. Very, very important. Also, in a case where a patient tells you, or maybe you're looking after the husband, and the wife is still, you don't need to look after her, so she's still in control of the household and everything, and maybe she tells you, you know what, don't give my husband this and this and this. And you say, but you know, I should, because that is part of my job, I should do this and this. And she says, no, 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 you don't do it. So then we can't just go and do it. We then say, okay, fine, it's out of my hands. I have told you it is needed, and I've told you why it's needed, but if you still tell me, then I don't do it. So then what you do, you open up your record keeping book, and you will write there the time and then what happened. So Mrs. B told me I shouldn't be taking Mr. B for a walk. She doesn't like it anymore, for example. But I told Mrs. B that it is good for him to get out in the sun 10 minutes a day. But she refused. So I left it. So that when someone asks questions, you can say, this is what happened.
Yeah.
If unsure, rather write more than less.
Yes.
So because we need to cover ourselves, we are doing very important jobs. Really, very important jobs, okay? Also, where the two of you are working, maybe Mrs. W fell. Now, you look, you see there's no blue mark or whatever. You record, Mrs. W fell. When this and this happened, she fell. I couldn't do anything. But then you would report to Jonela and you say, but when Jonela comes in, Jonela will look into the book and she will say, and you can tell her, please just see if there's no blue mark. So that when I come in and I check the book or I check the patient and I see there's a blue mark, now Jonela is on duty, but it wasn't half her fault that he fell, but she didn't check. So now I'm going to she's maybe going to lose her job because I'm thinking that she's mishandling the patient. And that's why it's important to write everything down. We must of course not take the whole day to write stuff down. But everybody has got some time a day that they can just quickly write the stuff as they go. Don't neglect that. Don't neglect it, because we also forget maybe what happened this morning. So as soon as you can, as soon as you get a chance, you quickly write down what happened in the past hour or whatever. It's also important to keep record of the fluid intake, because water, very important. we are responsible for these people. We're keeping them alive, actually. So you need to make sure he drinks enough. What is enough? It depends on how much he's moving around and everything, but usually it is around at least 1.2 liters or so. But we need to assess each and every person because they are different. Some have different diseases, so maybe they should take in less water. So we need to assess, but we need to write that down. And also to check the stomach, is the stomach going? So that we can keep a record of that. Very, very important, otherwise we get other problems. So if the stomach didn't go for 3 days, then you must do something and you must check. When you come on duty, you haven't been to work for 4 days now, what you do, you take your book, even though she tells you what's going on, it doesn't matter. You take the book at some stage during your shift and you make sure that you cover everything that was written down in the past 4 days so that you can also be updated on what's been happening. So if there was a fall or if the stomach didn't work, then you know, oh my goodness, I better do something about this today because it's been 3 days or whatever. Because again, we are all just human. We forget maybe to mention the stomach didn't go when you were on duty or whatever. Okay. So, does it make sense to you?
Yes, yes, I understand now.
Are you think now that we're going to be covered a little bit better if we do it this way?
Yes.
Okay, that's amazing. Thank you, girls. So not that difficult, but so we are learning every day. As long as we want to learn,
Yes.
we'll be okay. And it's a job out of our hearts, which we do. We love our jobs. It's not just a job for us, and we want to do it properly, and we want to grow. Well, thank you, girls. Enjoy your work.